She smiled while trying on her wedding dress, and I already knew the ceremony wasn't happening. I heard everything. By accident. Her real thoughts. The words she'd never say to my face. That's when I realized she wasn't my fiancé. I was just a placeholder in her perfect little plan. But the ending she got wasn't the one she planned for. My name is Ryan. I'm 29, work in IT, and up until a few months ago, I thought I was going to marry the love of my life. I met Chloe 3 years ago at a friend's birthday party. She was the kind of woman who walked into a room and made everyone turn. Not because she was loud or flashy, just this effortless confidence. Smart, sarcastic, way out of my league. Or so I thought. Somehow, we clicked. She laughed at my dumb jokes, liked the same weird documentaries, and had this way of making even the most boring errands feel like adventures. Within 6 months, we were living together. Within 2 years, I proposed. It was a quiet Sunday morning. Homemade pancakes, coffee, no big crowd, just us. I got down on one knee right there in the kitchen, hands shaking like an idiot. She said yes with tears in her eyes. We laughed, kissed, made plans. For a while, it felt perfect. We were planning a small wedding. Chloe took the lead, picked out the venue, the flowers, the menu. I just followed along, happy to see her excited. She had a Pinterest board for everything. My mom said, "She's a keeper." My friends said, "You locked it down." And I believed them. Sure, there were moments. Times when she'd roll her eyes if I told a corny story around her friends. Or how she'd correct me mid-sentence like I was some clueless intern. But I figured, she's just a strong personality. She wants things a certain way. And besides, she said she loved me. She told me that a lot, actually. In texts, in passing, in front of others. But now that I look back, it never really felt deep. More like something she said out of habit. Like it was just part of the script. But I didn't question it. I was too busy trying to be the guy she deserved. I worked late, picked up extra freelance gigs, paid for most of the wedding stuff because she said she didn't want to touch her savings. I didn't mind. I was building something real. Or so I thought. Until one night, everything cracked. It happened at her bachelorette party. I wasn't supposed to be there, obviously, but it was at our apartment, her idea to save money. "We'll just do a girls' night here," she said. "Low-key, no strippers. Promise." So I agreed to spend the night at my brother's place. Around midnight, I realized I'd forgotten my laptop, and I had a work deadline the next morning. I figured everyone would be drunk and distracted by that point, so I quietly came back to grab it. When I opened the door, I could hear them laughing from the living room. I slipped inside, staying low, just planning to sneak to the bedroom, grab the laptop, and go. Then I heard it. One of her friends asked, "So, are you actually excited to marry him?" Chloe laughed. Not just a little laugh, a full, tipsy cackle. Then she said it. "He's just a placeholder, you know? Like, he's fine for now, safe, stable. But if someone better comes along, I'm not stupid." I froze. The room erupted in laughter. One of them said, "Girl, you're savage." Another added, "Well, at least he's paying for the wedding, right?" Chloe didn't deny it, didn't laugh it off. She just sipped her drink and said, "Exactly. Exactly." That word echoed in my head like a grenade. I didn't move. I just stood in the hallway, laptop forgotten, stomach twisted. I'd never felt so stupid, so cheap, like I was a rental car she planned to return once she could afford the upgrade. I left without saying a word, walked 10 blocks to my brother's place in the cold, trying to keep it together. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. Just walked. Stunned. Hollow. The next morning, she texted, "Hey babe, hope you slept okay. Girls' night was fun. Missed you." I stared at that message for a long time, and I knew, no matter how beautiful the dress was, or how many deposits we'd made, this wedding wasn't happening. The following days felt like walking through fog. Chloe acted completely normal, texting, calling, sending me pictures of wedding decorations like nothing had happened. And I played along, at first. I answered her messages with short replies, forced smiles over FaceTime, pretending I was just busy or tired. But inside, I was unraveling. Every time I saw her name pop up on my phone, I'd hear that laugh. Her saying I was just a placeholder. The clink of her glass, the way she said exactly. Like I was a financial plan, a safe bet, a waiting room until her dream man showed up. I wanted to confront her, to scream, to demand why she said it. But every time I imagined it, I saw her deflecting, laughing it off, calling it just girl talk, or a joke, or you're overreacting. And maybe I would have bought that. A month earlier, I might have believed it, might have forgiven it. But now, something in me had snapped. I didn't want her explanation. I wanted her exposed. I started paying attention to things I'd ignored before. The way she always introduced me as her fiancé, the IT guy, with a weird smirk. How she'd dismiss my ideas like they were beneath her. How she never really asked how my day was, unless it was about money or a gift. I started realizing I wasn't in love with Chloe. I was in love with the idea of Chloe, and that idea was a lie. So I made a plan. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to give her the drama she secretly fed on. I was going to wait. Let her finish planning every detail of that perfect wedding. Let her bask in the compliments, post the countdown stories, do her dress fittings, cake tastings, all of it. I played the part. Supportive fiancé, loving, patient, predictable. But behind the scenes, I was making arrangements. First, I called the venue, canceled everything under my name, lost a deposit, but it was worth it. Then the caterer, the photographer, even the DJ. Quietly, professionally, no drama. Just out. I even talked to her parents, told them I had some doubts, and they seemed concerned but didn't ask much. I think they knew more than they let on. And then I wrote a letter. I'll get to that later. For now, just know this. When you're the placeholder, you don't leave the room quietly. The wedding day arrived like a ticking time bomb. Chloe had no idea. She was up early, giddy with excitement, posting boomerangs of her makeup and hair. I watched her through the screen, not saying much. She thought I was just nervous. In a way, I was. But not for the reasons she thought. I arrived at the venue an hour before the ceremony. The planners were already confused. The florist wasn't answering, the caterer was missing, the DJ was running late. Chloe was too busy taking photos in her dress to notice anything was wrong. Then the guests started arriving. Family, friends, co-workers, all dressed up, smiles on their faces, not knowing what was coming. At 2 p.m., right when the ceremony was supposed to begin, the room was full. Everyone seated, music queued up, and I stepped out. Not in a tuxedo, just jeans, a white button-down, and the letter I'd written. People turned. Murmurs spread. Then I walked to the front, microphone in hand. Hey everyone, thank you all for being here. I know this isn't what you were expecting. Believe me, it's not what I planned either. I paused. I was supposed to get married today, but last week I overheard something that changed everything. Gasps, confused glances. Chloe froze in place, bouquet still in hand, lips slightly parted. I heard my fiancé tell her friends I was just a placeholder, that she was waiting for someone better, that if he came along she wouldn't hesitate. A wave of silence crashed over the room. And the worst part? She wasn't even ashamed. Chloe stepped forward. Ryan. I held up a hand. You had your say. You laughed, you agreed. You called me safe. Stable. Disposable. Her eyes darted around. Everyone was staring. So, I'm not marrying you, Chloe. I took out the letter, folded neatly. I wrote this to explain it all. But honestly, you don't deserve the words. I dropped it on the floor and walked out. No yelling, no fighting. Just the truth. Behind me, I heard the guests buzzing, chairs shifting. Someone clapped, Not loud, but deliberate. Then another. And another. By the time I reached the parking lot, it sounded like applause. I didn't go home right away. I drove out of the city, no destination in mind. Just needed to move. To breathe. I ended up in a diner 2 towns over, sitting in a booth alone with a coffee that went cold before I touched it. My phone was buzzing nonstop. Missed calls, texts, Chloe, her parents, her friends, even mine. I turned it face down and just stared at the wall. For the first time in weeks, maybe months, my head was quiet. There was no wedding, no more pretending, no more performance, and even though part of me felt hollow, like I'd been punched in the stomach and was still waiting to catch my breath, another part of me felt free. Like I'd just stepped out of a cage I didn't realize I was locked in. Later that night, I finally turned my phone over and started reading the messages. The first dozen were pure chaos. Chloe's texts swung between fury and desperation. How could you humiliate me like that? I didn't mean it. It was just a joke. Why are you ruining our lives? Please, we can talk. Just come back. I didn't answer. I didn't block her either. I wanted her to see that silence. Her parents were more restrained. Her mom asked if I'd lost my mind. Her dad, surprisingly, just said, "I respect your decision. It couldn't have been easy." That one made me pause. Then came the messages from friends. Most of them were shocked, but supportive. "Bro, that was unreal. I can't believe you went through with it. Mad respect. She never deserved you, man." A few told me people in the crowd started whispering things the moment I left. Apparently, some already had suspicions, that Chloe acted more like she was throwing a gala than planning a marriage. One friend said, "You looked like a groom. She looked like a brand." Ouch. But accurate. By the next day, someone had posted a blurry clip of my speech on social media. I didn't post it. Didn't even know someone had filmed it. But there it was. Me, standing in front of a wedding crowd, calling out my fiancé and walking out. The caption? "He found out the truth, and he walked." It went viral, millions of views, thousands of comments. Suddenly people were messaging me, strangers, thanking me, sharing their own stories of being placeholders, of almost settling, of walking away. I never expected to be that guy, but somehow, that moment made me one. It's been a few months now. The dust has settled. The messages have slowed. The video is still out there, but the internet's moved on, as it always does. But me? I'm still living with what happened. And surprisingly, that's not a bad thing. Because for the first time in years, I feel like I'm living for myself. No more performing. No more pretending to be stable or safe enough for someone who never really saw me. I started going to therapy. Not because of Chloe, but because I finally realized how long I'd been putting everyone else ahead of myself. How much I'd contorted who I was to fit into someone else's version of acceptable. Turns out, I wasn't a placeholder. I was just standing in the wrong damn story. I've reconnected with friends I lost touch with during the relationship. Started painting again, something I hadn't done since college. I even signed up for a hiking group, and yeah, I've been on a few pretty weird dates. One girl brought her ferret, don't ask. But most importantly, I've started being honest. With others. With myself. It's not always easy. Some days I still hear Chloe's voice in the back of my mind. That laugh. That word. Placeholder. But it doesn't hit the same anymore. Now, I hear it as a reminder. A reminder that I'm not disposable. That I'm not someone to be tolerated until something better comes along. And maybe, just maybe, this wasn't the end of a love story. Maybe it was the beginning of my own. So if you're watching this and you've ever felt like a backup plan, like someone's safety net, like you're only good enough for now, like if you disappeared they wouldn't even blink, I want you to know something. You're not a placeholder. You're the main character. You just need to find the right damn story. What would you do if you found out the person you loved never saw you as the one?